City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas. Children laughing, people passing, meeting smile after smile. And on every street corner, you hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them sing. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Strings of street lights, even stoplights, blink a bright red and green as the shoppers run home with their treasures. Hear the snow crunch, see the kids bunch. This is Santa's big scene. And above all the bustle, you hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them sing. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Hello everybody, Merry Christmas. Welcome to our Hi-Jinks filled salon, last of the year for you all. I noticed that there's something about singing that song where you have to literally go, silver bell. So I'm sorry about that. It's just an absolute knee-jerk reaction to singing something quite as pleasing and cheesy as that. It's really lovely to see everybody here. Please stay in touch with us. As you've seen already, we have that side. I've got a monitor in front of me, and obviously I go the opposite way to what I think I'm doing, but I can just catch it outside the monitor. So over here, some of the songs I sing will have the lyrics, so you can join in, because we're going to try and make this evening as participatory as possible, because that is something that I certainly am missing. Actually having interaction with you all. You'll have seen that you can choose songs later coming up, and we've also got this amazing, I'm going to just lift it a little bit, headdress that we will be playing with later. That is interactive as well. We'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. But quickly, before we move on, I'm going to tell you a bit about the night, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what is basically the smallest studio audience ever. Because I am not here on my own. I have with me the lovely Matt on the technicals. Whoop, whoop. There you go. Whoop, whoop, indeed. And I have the lovely Shaz, who will be my guest star, my live guest star. I have a couple of other guests coming up as well. But this is actually my live and real life acting partner in a variety of small reels later on. Give us a little something, Sharon? Hooray! Lovely. And then, of course, rule of six and household supplying and all that. We also have our studio audience, which is my partner Adrian, doing, as usual, the best he can, and that's all we can ask. So, what tonight's going to be like is it's going to be a bit like our salons usually, in which we've got some pre-recorded stories and things to share with you. But we're also obviously going out live at the moment on our YouTube channel. So it's a mixture of live stream and recorded footage. And that is to allow us to change locations now and then, just mix things up a little bit. And also to have some people with us who you wouldn't otherwise get to speak to or see because of the current situation. We are going to you, we're going to come to you from the Secret Garden. We're coming to you from the kitchen of the Secret Garden, which is all set up for Christmas, as you can see. I hope you are as well. We are in this little studio. We are wassailing tonight. So cheers, everybody. Cheers. Wassail. This means it's basically a posh and festive way of saying mulled apple. So there you go. I shall be sloshing a bit of the Joy Special into it later, which I'm quite excited about. That's after I've done all my singing for you. So I'm going to introduce the first story now. We were very, very excited to be allowed to go to Helligan for the lovely Shaz to record this story for you. All these stories come from our previous work that we've done over the years, especially around Christmas time. A lot of them seem to involve really kick-ass old women or old Cornish folk. Not sure why that's been a festive theme for us, but it seems to have been. This one was written by TJ Holmes. It's called Maggie Figgy and Her Piggy, and it is filmed with the pigs at Helligan. So enjoy your first Christmas story in a very festive little manger. Hello, I'm Shaz, and I'm telling you a story today from the lost gardens of Heligan. Now, I am on a working farm and I'm in the barn with these two darlings who are female Berkshire pigs, and I must say they're incredibly friendly. They keep nibbling my elbow and my bottom while I'm sat here next to their pen. Also, I've got some more company over there, a very lovely audience of about 12 sheep. So I do have amazing company today, I must admit. So, as I said, it is a working farm. They will be truffling and oinking away throughout. You may get the odd bleat from the sheep, but you will hear machinery and voices, and I'm sure it will all just add to the atmosphere of this wonderful story, How Maggie Figgy Got Her Piggy by the wonderful T.J. Holmes. Maggie Figgy is a witch. Everyone knows it. And when everyone knows a thing, well, that thing must be the truth. You've heard about her cliff-top storm brewing, her weaving spells around ships, netting them like fish and hauling them onto the rocks to be plundered. Well, it all must be true. I mean, how else would a woman with her strange looks come by a hoard of fine jewellery which she hides away in her mouse-nibbled cottage? She hasn't any gentlemen admirers. She hasn't even got any friends. Well, apart from the aforementioned mice, her goat, chickens, and one would imagine a cat. To these she can be heard to chatter in a language mysterious to human ears, but which, tellingly, the animals appear to comprehend. And this, of course, begs the question, are they really animals? Or rather, indeed, her familiars, her evil spirits in disguise? Well, she certainly never seemed to eat any of these creatures, and why keep a goat and chickens if you're not going to eat them? It's all highly suspicious. Oh, and did I mention she limps with both feet? If you ask me, she's got more in common with that goat than meets the eye. Now, if further proof were needed of the fact that Maggie Figgy is a witch, then I would tell you the tale of how Maggie Figgy got her big, and I would tell it with great earnest. But since we're all agreed that she is a witch, then I will tell you the tale for the sake of entertainment. After all, everyone loves to hear a good story about their wicked neighbours, don't they? Maggie Figgy's cottage crouches on the lane north of St. Berrien. Close by, a backbent thorn bush grizzles over the stile which leads up to the farm of Tom Trenawarth. And it was here, one drizzly Sunday morning in December, that she found Tom's errant sow. Trying to get through to my little patch, weren't you? After the parsnip peelings I left out for my goat, I shouldn't wonder, chuckled Maggie, on returning the rover to her rightful owner. Aren't you feeding her enough, Tom? Oh, for feeding her like a queen, puffed the offended farmer. Matter of fact, I've been fattening her up for Penzance Christmas market. Reckon she'll fetch me a fistful of silver for the butcher's block. Well, must be glad to have her back then, and have your string in her ring again, coaxed the witch. Well, yes, I am, Maggie, and I thank you for it. She is my pride and joy. And then wiping the sweat which had beaded round his cheeks, almost like tears, he added, I don't know what I'd do if anything happened to her. I tell you what, Tom, sidled Maggie, I can see you a fretting like a rich old man with a pretty young wife. So why not save yourself a ploughing of your brow with wrinkles, and a blistering tramp to Penzance to boot? Well, said the earnest countryman, we'll sell her to me, right now. Oh, how much you offering? Asked Tom, rubbing his hands together doubtfully. 5 shillings, said the witch. 5 shillings, squawked Tom.
Well, if you had said 20, I'd have scratched my whiskers a while before the spit and shake, but 5 shilling? Well, that's as good as a slap in the chops.
But what price is peace of mind, though? Persisted Maggie. If you don't sell her to me, who's to say what might happen to her before you get to market? Well, the indignant farmer tightened his grip on the twine through the sow's nose ring and stiffened his lips.
I see your caper, he bristled, and you'll not scaremonger me out into a price cut. This pig is going to market, and that is that.
Which said, he turned on his heel and dragged his much-loved sow along behind him, stomped up the lane to the sty. Before he rounded the corner, though, something made him glance back, and he was not a little unsettled to see Maggie Figgy standing stock still where he left her, staring at them with a twinkle in her eye and a strange mumbling on her lips. What he didn't notice was that the ears pricked up and the wet snout twitched, and the sow was gazing right back at her. The hedgerows shivered in the wind. Well, from that moment on, poor Tom's pig took a turn for the worst. He kept feeding her up, and she kept eating. But where it all went, he couldn't tell. For instead of getting fatter, she began to waste away. Thinking, in a moment of gleeful inspiration, that she might have worms, he filled her at both ends with the necessary medicine, but all to no avail. And in 3 short days, Tom's pride and joy became a thing much shriveled and deflated, and far from being a creature to fill the other market sellers with jealousy and buyers with savage relish, she was now a thing deserving of only their derision and scorn. On the 4th day, slate grey, wet, Tom was slopping out her swill with the desperate love of a father to an ailing child, when, like a clock showing 7 in the morning to one who has not slept, Maggie Figgy's face appeared over the sty door.
Oh, if it's about the pig, he blurted, furtively covering the creature's sagging flanks with straw. Oh, you won't wrestle her from me. Her weight in gold, you cross-grained old witch.
Less of the old, thank you, insisted Maggie, and note she took no umbrage in being called a witch, though. Perhaps you haven't changed your mind yet, but you will, she crowed. You will. And off she went with a hobbling trot. This was the spark to the wick of the farmer's manly pride, and with a frantic effort to prove her wrong, Tom began to feed his pig with a feast worthy of the season. He ran back and forth from the house like a madman, bringing roasted nuts, cheese and biscuits, mince pies, tinned fruit, jelly, Christmas cakes, clotted cream and Christmas pudding, and like a wise man, knelt to place these gifts before the sow in the barn. Now, it might have been easier for him to carry his pig to the larder than the larder to the pig, but in recognition of his efforts, the dear creature did her best to guzzle the lot up and then lie down luxuriously in the leftovers. Well, soon she was snoring contentedly, and vigilant Tom slept not a wink, though, and sat all night on an upturned bucket in the sty, staring at the perplexing pig. Well, next day, a bleak sunrise pointed at its pale digits at the grey shadows under the farmer's eyes, and compared them to those between the ribs of the creature who still lay snoozing in the hay, its head resting gently on a half-eaten Christmas cake. The sight of this almost made Tom weep, but being a dignified man, He mastered his emotions and focused them pragmatically into the toe of his boot. With this, he gave a hearty encouragement to the hind quarters of his fat, forsaken friend. "Get up, mate!" he shouted as she bolted to the darkest corner of the barn with a squeal. "Eat!" he cried, pelting her generously with a mince pie and a cheese round. "Eat!" Well, not wishing to disappoint such a bountiful master, the dutiful pig gulped down all these offerings. And by the way of showing there was no hard feelings, she teetered over and stood by the offending boot, but somewhat overcome by her emotions, not to mention the breakfast, was promptly sick on him. And like a true stoic, Tom gritted his teeth and screamed. And then came Saturday, a bright, crisp, auspicious morning, and Tom resolved to swallow his pride and get what price he could for the poor sow before she shrank to skin and bone. He pushed a bit of twine through her ring, explaining, "Well, there is still a string of sausages in you, there is a shilling in it for me. So come on, we're off to Penzance Market." Well, despite this good reasoning, Tom's pig seemed unable to muster any enthusiasm for the trip, so he bent down to pick her up and carry her hither on his back. But the ungrateful sow wasn't having any of it. Quick as a cleaver, she bolted from the sty, and with such gusto that she dragged her betwaddled master along behind her on his string. Dumbfounded by her sudden prodigious strength, the farmer was unable to reply to any of the cheerful salutation he received from the neighbours on his way through the town. "Ha, that's never your old sow, is it now, Tom?" marvelled one. "A lovely day for pig walking, isn't it, Tom?" chirruped another. But it was all he could do from keeping his grip on the twine, which was biting through his fingers like cheese wire. Over edges, through ditches, Tom was made to gamble until his clothes were bramble torn and lagged in mud, and the breath came rasping from him like smoke in a clear blue air. At last, they came to Tregonabris Down, where the road forks one way to Penzance and the other to Sancreed. Here, poor Tom reached the end of his tether in more ways than one, and pronouncing that he would not be tugged a step further for fear this journey proved his last, he relinquished the reins and let his sow roam free. Now, apparently finding this new liberty a thing worth savouring, instead of charging off, the pig then made her way at an ostentatious amble towards the bottom of the valley. "Oh, must be thirsty all that galloping about," thought Tom, following her down to the edge of the stream. And here, sure enough, she lapped at the amber waters and even waded in to cool her belly a while. But no sooner had she contented herself than she returned to the favourite pastime of being a thorn in her master's side. And before Tom could splash after her, she paddled over to the narrowest arch of Tregonabris Bridge and wedged herself inexorably inside it, a square pig in a round hole. The afternoon sun danced on the water like so many silver shillings, and counting his losses, Tom could have sat right down and wept. But he was made of tougher stuff than that, as were his boots, of course, in proof of which he now resolved to administer another good punt on the rump of the contrary sow. Well, a patch of slippery weed on the riverbed, taking sides with the pig, however, resulted in this effort merely that the farmer's sturdy boots went up in the air, while his highly absorbent tweed-clad body went down in the stream. Had his ears not been filled with the bubbling of his own underwater shrieking, Tom might at that moment have heard the rare music of a pig laughing. But as he hauled himself out of the cruel river, all his furious blowing and splashing could not conceal another more familiar chuckle which now came from the bank. "Oh, fancy seeing you here, Tom," trilled Maggie Figgy. "And that sweet pig of yours. I thought you were taking her to Penzance Market, and here you are having a swim instead. I thought December would be a little chilly for bathing, but cleanliness is next to godliness, eh?" Well, it was well Tom was soaked, or he may have caught fire with rage. He did, however, manage to steam faintly as he stood there on the edge of the river. "I don't suppose you've had another chance to think about me buying your sow now, Tom?" asked Maggie. And had it not been for the icy drips in his eyes, the farmer might have perceived the faintest of winks exchanged between the witch and the animal in question. "Take her!" spat Tom piteously. "To hell with the both of you!" "But 5 days ago," continued Maggie considerately, "you wouldn't settle for less than 20 shillings. No, I couldn't take her for nothing. Tell you what, Tom, I can see you forgot to take your clothes off when you went for a swim just now. And as luck would have it, I got an old smock of mine here, which you're welcome to. It'll be dark soon and you'll catch your death tramping back to St. Buryan and all that sop and clobber. So come on, let's get you out of these wet weeds and into something nice and dry, shall we?" Tom suddenly found himself powerless to resist. And with a whimper, he bowed his head and allowed the witch to strip him bare. She then dressed him up in her old smock, worn out through the elbows, but stitched up with pretty flowers round the neck. And once it was on, he sat down on a mossy rock and stared blankly out to the rolling stream. "All right then, Tom. Unless there's anything else I can do for you, I'll be off now. Come on, pig." And at this, without need for more encouragement, the animal slipped out from under the bridge and skittered to the witch's side. "Don't sit there for too long now, Tom," advised Maggie. "You'll get piles." "Cheerio then!" And off she limped, her new friend trotting along with her and chatting away happily in a language mysterious to humans. Well, since that day, Tom Trenoweth has lived a quieter life and can often be seen in a flowery old smock, tending his livestock with great gentleness and care. Our eponymous pig is in the pink once more, and she and the witch are, and evermore shall be, 2 peas in a pod with a twisty tail. The tale of how Maggie Figgy got her pig.
That was absolutely great. Let's have studio audience appreciation for Sharon Andrew. I really loved how well those pigs knew to play to camera. You got a lot of pig tail action for your money there, didn't you? £5 well spent, everybody, I think. So I'm going to go straight on to the next recording now. This is our first kind of remote special guest. If you've been following the salons this year, you'll have noticed probably that every one of them has a bespoke illustration, which we are so thrilled about, by the wonderful Jackie Fleming, hero of my life. She's obviously an iconic satirist and illustrator and author. My mum first bought me her book when I was very little, well not that much younger than Jackie, when I was younger, and I took it through all the important stages of my life. And lots of people know her very famous picture of the little girl in the feminist t-shirt going, "Never give up." What she is great, and what she does for us has been fantastic this year. We're really proud of it and very honoured. So I basically used all that kind of crawling and complimenting to crowbar her into an interview. She doesn't usually give recorded interviews, so we're very, very lucky about that as well. So what I've done is I've put together a little 10-11 minute extract of that interview for you, and later on in this week we're going to put the full as well. The full thing was a whole evening of it got increasingly debauched, but anyway, it was we've got a fuller, more like 20-minute sort of section of that interview that I pieced together that will go onto our YouTube channel later in the week if you want to watch a bit more. Anyway, here you go. Can I please have a warm studio round of applause for our lovely interview with Jackie Fleming.
I don't honestly know, but I think there might have been possibly a little bit of Cintrinians lurking in there, because I found this book for you. We had this book on the bookshelf when I was a child, and I was completely obsessed with axe-wielding, cigar-smoking girls, schoolgirls, and I mean, they really kind of, touched me, and I thought they were more accurate than all the sugar and spice and cutesy stuff, which, just doesn't do the job, does it?
No.
Exactly. So I think there might be a little touch of them that was lurking in my mind. And I also found this very old cartoon, which I think must have been the precursor to Be a Bloody Train Driver. And she's just, curly haired and got a bow. And I think the idea was to draw a kind of archetypal sugar and spice girly girl, and then completely subvert it with what she thinks, says and does. So I think the plan was just to kind of lure people in with something that looks quite conventional, and then, come at it sideways with something unexpected.
It really works like that as well. That makes complete sense. She's kind of like the cartoon equivalent of the song Just a Girl by No Doubt. So that's very pleasing.
Are you about to sing?
No. I will sing after this though. What's your song pick? Everyone's had this list of like the songs that I can sing on the uke for Christmas. What was your pick?
I've got a terrible confession, and you might want to edit this bit out when it comes to your Christmas salon, but I have a complete aversion to Christmas songs and Christmas carols, because when a song, you hear a little bit of it and then it's stuck in your head for the next fortnight, and it's called an earworm or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Christmas carols do that to me in a bad way, especially the jangly, the ones that have bells in them. But on your list, I spotted Santa Baby and Eartha Kitt. Can't go wrong. I met her once.
Did you? What was that like? How and what was she like?
She was fantastic. My friend was going to interview her, and I said, please, can I come? Eartha Kitt, I have to be there. And he said, no, you can't. So I went, please. And he's finally, at the 11th hour, he rang me. He said, if you can pretend to be a journalist, you can come. So I disguised myself with a spiral bound notebook and a biro. I thought, that'll do the job. And I went to the hotel where he was meeting her. There were about 3 other people. I thought there was going to be a room full of people. There weren't. 3 other people. And Eartha Kitt appears carrying her little black poodle.
Oh.
And she sussed me out in about 2 seconds. She knew I wasn't a journalist.
No.
She was nice as pie. And I sent her a drawing of a cat. When she was back in the States, I sent her a drawing of a cat. And she sent me the loveliest letter back, saying it was up on the wall. She put it up on the wall. So you've got to be Santa Baby if you're going to sing.
Fine, I would very happily sing you, because we have found out that, as I think I told you the other night, that we've got some funding for the new year for the Arts Council.
I'm so glad.
It's brilliant to do a whole couple more sort of seasons of salons, which is really exciting. So hoping that you will illustrate for us for that.
I will, and you deserve it. I think they're really, really interesting. And every time you come up with another woman, and I have to research, which is that's been a revelation to me. Cecily Hamilton.
Yes, Marriage is a Trade.
I had no idea, and you suggested that I read How Women Won the Vote, which a satire, which was very funny. That was delightful. So I've learnt a lot.
You brought so much to those pictures though as well. Were there any that kind of stuck out to you that you particularly either liked or didn't like drawing, like found particularly difficult or particularly interesting to draw?
Funnily enough, I found, and this was surprising, Tove Jansson, who obviously I adore, I love, how could I not? And searching the internet for a kind of good image as reference, and there are always the same images. You come across the same image over and over and over again. And with Tove Jansson, she was always wearing flowers in her hair and looking a bit whimsical. And I thought, that isn't, things get cast in stone on the internet, and there's more. So it's always involved searching and searching for something else. But the picture that I found of her drawing, it doesn't do her justice, but at least it's not kind of whimsical.
Oh, it's a great picture, and no one's seen it yet because that's going to be coming out after this show. It's like a New Year one, so it's nice, sort of a little tease for people. But it's a fantastic picture and quite meta, because you, as an author and illustrator yourself, were illustrating her at work as an author and illustrator.
And she's especially fascinating because apparently, I didn't know this before, but apparently she got very sick of drawing the Moomin cartoon strip, because that's what people wanted from her. They wanted Moomin trolls, but she wanted to do other stuff. So it got to the point where she was really fed up drawing the bloody Moomin trolls all the time. Simone, that's another one that was a revelation to me. I didn't know that Nina Simone's husband was so abusive. I had no idea.
Yeah.
All the things that she was dealing with, such a fierce, scary woman. And she had a husband that she was scared of.
Who was her manager as well.
Yeah.
So he's managing her career and her, talk about coercive control and everything. It's really thorough domination of her life and psyche. Yeah, horrible.
I'm surprised that isn't kind of, it's not normally what people talk about, is it?
No.
But it must have had such an impact on her life.
Yeah, huge, I think. And makes it really sad when you think about or read or sing, My Baby Just Cares for Me and things like that. It's sort of really, she wrote that about him, and yet you sort of think like, oh, how little did he deserve that song, It's very sad.
Yeah.
Was it quite challenging to draw Marilyn Monroe? I remember that going back and forth between us quite a bit, because she's so performative in her pictures. It was hard to get to because what's lovely about the pictures you do for our salons is they are really beautiful. They really show your background, I think, as a fine artist, but they really capture something very unique about the truthfulness about the person we're about to do the salon about, which I really love. And she was quite hard to get to for that, wasn't she, I think?
Yeah, she was, and I kept changing my mind a lot of times about which to go for, and which one they would want to be represented by. That's the other thing. If you're trying to do somebody justice, which one would they actually want to be represented with? So I think with her, in the end, it was her kind of professionalism, her craft in being the character that she was acting, that she was performing. And I think that's what I was trying to draw, Marilyn performing Marilyn.
I really like that. That's really nice. And that makes a lot of sense about the picture you chose. Because I really struggle with people sort of talking about her as, there's always this thing about like, well, was she, a feminist icon, or was she a total traitor to her sex? It's like, well, neither. And actually it's okay for people not to fit either, a woman to exist and be famous and not be either of those things, and just be a craftsperson at their own.
Very, very good at what they do. Yeah.
Exactly. Very, very, like almost sort of surpassing anyone else's ability with a camera, and even very, very wonderful actors would work with her and then watch the rushes and say, oh my God, why can't any of us do what she's doing in front of the camera? We didn't even realize she was doing it while we were on set with her. And then you watch the rushes and you're like, how's she doing that? And she was really skilled, attentive to her craft.
Yeah, skilled,
exactly. I was also thinking, just said I basically robbed your work to name my company. I also do very specifically nick a line off you that in your wonderful The Trouble with Women book, the line about women rescuing other women from the dustbin of history. I talk about that a lot. I think it's a brilliant analogy. When I read that bit of that book, I was like, oh, yes, that exact thing. And are you sort of in the middle of planning where your next project might be in that, and will it cover any of that kind of stuff? Is it about other women, or or is it more personal? Have you got plans for next?
Things mulling. I'll just show you my empty desk waiting for a book. There you are.
Oh, it's lovely. Wow. Oh, talk me through your desk area.
Tidy pens, blank paper, postcards. So I don't know which idea will come to which one will win. I don't know which one will win.
Oh, have you got an embarrassment of riches? Have you got various bubbles?
There are a couple kind of fighting with each other. Yeah, because when I finished The Troubled Women, that could have just gone on and on. That kind of came to an end because of the publishing deadline. You know, at some point they say, time's up, you've got to stop. Which is a shame, because while the momentum's going, you want to just carry on. But then it all stops and you have to do all the other stuff. And so then it's quite hard to pick up from there and think, I'll put in all the women that didn't get a mention. So it might be something completely different. It's really what makes me the most angry at the time, you know, which issue needs something saying. And then when you reach the point of uncontrollable anger, that's when it'll sort itself out, won't it? Which one turns into a book.
I like the idea of like uncontrollable rage manifesting as your muse. It's like a sort of dogfight pit of rage, of different issues sparring with each other, and one of them finally is like, I will be born of you.
Yes. Yes, it's me. Yeah.
Brilliant. What do you have to do when your book's released? Do you have to do all the book tours and go around and talk about it, or are you
when it's finished?
Yeah,
you do. Yes, author torture, it's called.
That's it.
Unless you're a big show off and you love doing that kind of thing. Yeah, you have to. I feel sorry for audiences, because I mean, I'm the same. You know, you read something that you like and you want to know about the author, and you can't really help that. But you have to bear in mind that it's the work that is probably the best they've got to offer is in the work. Otherwise, we'd be performers.
Did we go?
I don't know. We're not gone. No, we're not gone.
I've got nothing to click. Oh, God.
I could basically do this to you for hours, couldn't I? Because only I could end the meeting.
That's what I'm waiting for, until you do a leave meeting thing. I've got nowhere.
You just got to sit there.
I was searching for it, because the first time my niece said to me, "Do you want to leave the room?" I actually got up and left the room.
Oh, brilliant! That is awesome.
Yeah. That's what she was talking about. I had
All right.
That's how much I know.
So that was Jackie Fleming, and you get Shaz making a little appearance in that as well. And you might have noticed that there was a condition there that I had to be very glittery to interview her. She had glittered up her hat. It was my only way of being very glittery. It was the only way we could lure her into the interview. So that seemed to work. Thank you very much, Jackie. When she requested her song, it reminded me, and I did put it to her, that years ago I had actually done a sort of socialist version of Santa Baby, and I wasn't sure I could find the lyrics, but I have found them. And I'm going to do my best to perform them for you now. It is more of a polemic, really, than a piece of Cole Porter, so sometimes the scanning isn't fantastic, and I reserve the right to have to stop and go back on bits, because it's more message than art, I would say. Anyway, here you go. Here's the socialist version of Santa Baby. Santa baby, don't skin a sable for little me, it's key. Christmas should become cruelty free. Here's my wish list for social change from Santa tonight. Santa baby, a fully funded NHS, and yes, nurses paid like footballers. Santa baby, hurry down my chimney tonight. Think of jail for every rapist, save our ovaries from every papist. Next year could provide quite the twist if you check off my Christmas list. Santa baby, reopen up my library. Let's see illustrations by Jackie. And Santa baby can volunteer and stay voluntary. Santa honey, a Labour candidate I'd rate would be great. And 2,325 female MPs, yes please. Hurry into Westminster with them tonight. Never trim my Christmas tree. I like my festive bush growing naturally. Allow me to thrive as myself by taking Vagisil off the shelf. Santa baby, come fill my stocking with equal checks and flex. E-working hours for working mums. Santa baby, hurry down my chimney tonight. Santa baby, forgot to mention one future thing. No kings, oh hark the citizens sing. Santa baby, hurry down the chimney tonight. Bring the social change tonight. Yet she persisted tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you, world's smallest studio audience, which consists of two friends and one boyfriend. It's just like performing when I was a child, except my parents aren't paying 2p to come in the kitchen to watch it. Right. I'm going to introduce the next story now, and I'm very excited about it because it is written by the same person who has made this amazing piece of tech, which I will be wearing to full comedy effect after the story. Please look at the little list that's in the video description on YouTube, and get ready to tweet if you're on Twitter, and it will make sections of this move / light up. And I will be wearing that after this story when I play your requests from the Yuletide Uke Box. So you can both tell me what to sing and mess around with my head while we do it. But in the run up to that, let me introduce the person, not just who's made this, but who's also written the next story. What a multi-talented human being, a Renaissance person, if you will. I would like very much to share with you now. A lot of places in Cornwall, where the Secret Garden is, do fantastic light displays around Christmas. Not everywhere this year has done that, but there are quite a few places. Flushing, which we're opposite, Coverack, where I know the lovely Helen is coming to us from. They have put out their lights this year, and it's a big Cornish tradition that we all love. This story was written in homage to the harbour towns like that by the very, very multi-talented L.H. Travail. This is the story Waywiser. The Waywiser, the ghost of a telegraphic romance by L.H. Travail. I see the boy pushing his bicycle across the uneven street, not riding, too nervous of coming a cropper on a dip or a bump. He looks cold. I suppose he must be cold. It is winter after all. Pine trees and board game winter. Shivering winter. I think I see the boy shiver, even wrapped in a ridiculous yellow jacket. Fair, glowing he is, bright strips reflecting at all angles, but still cold inside. He stops at a house, the first of a steep row. Tiny houses close together, old like me. Old and hunkered down in this safe harbour, clinging to the hillside, hugging the stillness of the land, face to face with the ever-changing ocean and sky. The boy props his bicycle against a lamppost, kneels, spends a little time fastening a lock. He looks unfamiliar with it, handling it clumsily. Perhaps his hands are cold. Perhaps the bicycle is new. The lamppost is new but made to look old. There's a fashion for that. Traditional, heritage, vintage. The post is smart Narnia black with a gas lamp cage around the bulb. It is an energy-efficient bulb. I read that. We all have to be efficient now with our energy. That's a new idea too, but of course, any old woman could tell you that. Resourceful we are. I don't think the bicycle is new, but it is certainly new to him. Perhaps the boy is new. I've not seen him before, although that's no longer unusual here. Strangers come all the time. They visit, for it surely is beautiful. Sometimes they stay a while. Oftentimes they to and fro, leaving their hunkered houses empty for whole seasons like forgotten lovers. Windows dark, fires unlit. But not tonight, of course, for tonight is Yule. All the lights go on. As night falls, this precious harbour will send out its glow, out even to the cold ocean. Light bulbs strung into the familiar shapes of Christmas will defy everybody's dark and chill. Is the boy new? He could be, but he's not a visitor. He's working. He's got something around his shoulder. No, like a bag, but not a bag. His yellow coat says he's a postman, but it's not a bag of mail. It looks like a camera, but it's not a camera neither. I know what it is. I know what it is because I read the news and I follow the technologies. I'm old-fashioned that way. I don't subscribe to this modern thinking that an old woman should flop around in a chair with a crochet needle till she's ready to stick it in her own eye out of boredom. No, I like to know what's going on. That's how I was raised. Knowing things. Maybe I can't get out and about so often, but things worth knowing still come to me if I look for them. Like this boy here, with his not a camera. He's standing in front of the house. He's finished fiddling with his bicycle now. He's standing and holding up the little box, concentrating, like he knows it's important, like he's taking a picture of a bride and groom. Nothing much seems to happen. He lowers the box, presses some buttons, and moves to the next house, where I can see the curtain moving just a little bit. Someone else is watching him. Now that's Mr. Peterson's house, and Mr. Peterson won't have a clue what's going on. He'll be thinking he's under surveillance or something. He used to work for the War Office on some mysterious things, and he's paranoid as all hell. He even breaks his bread into little pieces in case someone's put something in there. I've seen him do it, even though the bread comes from the supermarket now in a plastic bag. He'd better off making his own, really. Then he wouldn't have to worry. He could just sieve the flour, but I don't think he can cook. I think his wife looked after him till she died, of course, poor love, kidneys packed in. Now he gets the van with the frozen dinners off the telly and a bag of groceries once a week from Safeway. He's going to be on the phone now to the post office in a panic, but there's nobody watching him here but me. The boy lowers the box again, presses some buttons, keeps moving up the row. At each house, he raises it, concentrates, lowers it, and moves on. I know what he's doing. He's making a map. I read about it. That little box records the exact location of every house, every address, every home, exact coordinates, from space. A perfect map. You know, they used to do that with a wheel very early on. They had a stick with a wheel fixed to it which turned a corner, and that would measure the distance from one place to another, so they knew how much to charge for the post. That was called a way wiser. Not so accurate as our boy's machine that speaks with satellites, but as I am watching him, I cannot help but remember some post office employee of the past wobbling the wooden wheel between the rough cobblestones and cursing the uneven ground. Everything new and everything exactly the same. We always like to know just how far away we are from each other and the precise cost of contact. The boy moves steadily up the hill, further from his chained-up tin steed. Part way up he pauses, looks thoughtfully and reaches into his trouser pocket, fumbling with the fluorescent coat. He pulls out a mobile telephone. He touches it, standing still for a moment in the middle of the street, reading. His pragmatic face shifts slightly. He lets the mapping box hang at his side while he moves his fingers lightly over the screen. I watch the focus in his features, the careful tapping of his fingers, and I know that he is talking. I recognise it. I wonder who he is talking to. His boss? His mother? I watch his face carefully. No, not his mother. He looks at the screen a little too long after sending. He continues with his work, and I feel a sharp stab of nostalgia. I always feel it with those youngsters and their silent telephones, talking without speaking, just moving their hands. I remember it. I remember my mother's hands, sure and quick. I remember them slicing carrots mathematically even. And I remember them teaching me all the workings of the telegraph key. Oh, just as her mother had taught her the telegraph key. We are strangers in this place, she had said. A stranger needs a trade, and this is ours. Always has been since the keys were made. Now, a telegraph key is no longer a common sight these days, but I still have mine, even if the wire goes no further than my windowsill. The small button fixed to its gleaming metal bar. Oh, my fingers automatically move to shift the key, pushing the bar against its electrical contact to complete the circuit and send a pulse of pure power along a wire. Doesn't seem much these days. A tiptoe up from nothing. But then the wire could be mighty long, and the power sent in that way is readable from the other end as language, as words. Oh, moving a needle, flashing a bulb on and off, beeping. They called it a code, but it didn't keep words secret, it let them travel. At first short distances along a railway line, but then from one end of the world to the other. Probably doesn't seem like much nowadays. Oh, but to my great-grandmother it was magic, and a magic she could control. Her uncle built the telegraph machines very early on, and she was fascinated. So he taught her. First off as a novelty, but she had a knack for it, so he soon employed her, sending and receiving messages. At that time, a girl, of average means at least, didn't have a lot of career options, as it were. Oh, she could do crafts, service, maybe. Teaching, if she was smart and could put up with other people's children. Marriage was the big glittery goal. Marriage and never having to work again, sprogging all over the place. But the thing is, when you're talking over a wire, nobody knows you're a girl, unless you tell them. My great-grandmother was a good operator, and very much in demand, and by the time it was revealed she was a female as well, her skill had already been proved, and there were plenty of other girls who'd learnt the same way. She had been taken on by the railway then for her whole life. And she got married, and she had my grandmother, who she taught to use the key. So that's how it all went. The forefront of technology, the latest equipment, technological advances, news of the day, all discussed by operators across their long wires, the flickering of a bulb, and they could read that clear as me speaking to you. Oh, the boy, the young Waywiser, is still making his way up the hill. I know he'll have to come back to get his bicycle, but there's more houses to record first, ones I cannot see from my window. Nearly all the way up the top, he's going to go out of sight. He stops at the brow of the hill, turns and glances back the way he's come. His gaze broadens and he looks out to sea. The clouds are starting to roll in now. They're going to throw down rain or snow, maybe? But for now, they are drifting in lazy over the ocean, darkening in its ever-moving expanse while picking up the golden light from the sun as it begins to set. The boy is still. His face softens a little. Then slowly, his hand moves to his pocket again. He pulls out the mobile telephone, and holds it up in front of him, framing the scene, capturing it. He presses a button. He is sending it again, sending what he sees, what he thinks of as beautiful. Oh, I wonder, is he sending it to the wide world or to someone precious to him? By his face, I'll bet on precious. He's got that elsewhere face. gazing at the telephone like it's an open door direct to another heart. I know that look. He puts the telephone away and vanishes over the brow of the hill. Little yellow setting sun. I turn to my attic room. The whole house is mine, of course, but up here is where I can see the furthest and where I increasingly spend more of my time. This, my highest window, looks out over the village, over the harbour and out on the shifting waters. Romantic, I suppose, but the waters frighten me. Even on the bright day, when they're blue as a giant eye, I see them always dark. If they're not dark on the surface, they are always dark below. Dark and cold until you are so deep that life makes its own light because it cannot bear the darkness anymore. I saw a documentary film about them once, flickering, sparkling, pulsing creatures of colour and light. Speaking a language I feel I could almost understand. I saw them on the screen. Lights on, lights off. I know the signal, but the code is different. I feel that often. The ocean changes all the time. That's not fear. I'm all for change, even if I am hugging the land. The tide moves away, returns, moves away, returns. It always returns. And I'm here when it does. I do not turn away, even though the silence of that darkness frightens me. Those sea creatures on the screen were beautiful. Sometimes I feel I could make out the words, even half phrases, in their deep water flickering. Of course, I know it wasn't real. I know they weren't. They were saying different things, something from their own ocean hearts. I was just looking for a language I miss, a language of distance, but the only language that ever brought me close. I'm looking for the pulse of a voice I recognise only in light, but their code is different. I almost see it, though, more and more as I get older. In a fizzing fluorescent tube, a Christmas tree, a lightning strike, a disco ball. Flashes of a conversation, just not there. It rarely makes sense, but when it does, even though I know it's just a coincidence of light, my hand still moves to answer. When the freezer broke down in Safeways, it was blinking out lonely until they pulled the plug 20 minutes later. I couldn't hardly bear the sight of it waiting outside the shop for the disposal the next couple of days. I shopped at Spar. But I know the freezer's not saying LONELY. The twisted minicab sign isn't gibbering on about PEACE. The disco ball isn't singing about AMORE. And the lightning isn't screaming obscenities at the sea. And the Christmas tree certainly isn't asking for a can of STELLA. Am I LONELY? I don't feel lonely. I don't find myself seeking out another companion heart. I had mine for a while. A long time ago now, mind you, but I was lucky. Well, I think I was. It was true, I hope. No, I'm sure. As much as anyone can be sure over a wire. My grandmother met her husband that way. She was working the railway like her mother and banding inappropriate words with a city fellow working along. She found happiness along the lines. And when she was carrying my mother, she had the telegraph wires run into the bedroom so that she could keep working right up until labour and pretty sharpish after. I never knew my grandmother. My parents moved away before I was born. There was the war, and then another one when I was older. Their war and mine. Fighting that took away our freedom to travel, and took away my father. My mother's work was in demand. She could use the key and she could type. She taught me both, but warned me that typing would limit me to lower pay and lower respect once the fighting was done. That was always the way, and she didn't see that likely to change. So I learned and I worked. There weren't so many girls as could use the telegraph key by then, but I kept ahead. I knew how the machines worked and how to fix them when they broke, and I looked like butter wouldn't melt. So I went bleeping and flicking away in all kinds of fancy far-off places. Nothing so glamorous as a spy, nothing so wary as Mr. Peterson's mysterious war effort. Just someone who noticed things and who wouldn't be noticed themselves. I suppose I'm still someone who wouldn't be noticed, but for reasons of heritage. Not such a sweet face now, I'll admit. But I still have the habit of reporting what I see, even if it's only chattering away to you. And who are you, anyway? Strangers? Friends? Or figments of a memory? A memory of someone I can never be quite sure was really there, fully existing. It could have been any one of you, at any point in your past or future lives. I never saw you. I never saw your face, but we talked, didn't we? In the long hours between official messages, we talked. Well, we couldn't talk about what we were working on, of course, or who we were, or even where we were. We could have been 5 minutes down the road or the other side of the globe. So we talked about how we were feeling. And then we started asking about how we were feeling. And then how we were feeling began to change. It did, didn't it? Curiosity to interest, interest to friendship, friendship to passion, passion to... I never could say. But there was, wasn't there? I know there was. Oh, how far away we were all that time. And how close. Oh, the Waywiser boy is back in view again. Not where I expected him. He hasn't come back over the hill. He has circled around. Little yellow satellite circling my world. I suppose that is the most efficient way, after all. Better than to simply back up and retrace one's steps. He is mapping the houses on my street now. Oh, the weather is turning. And day is falling into night. The sun sinking into the sea. I imagine it as a huge bright travelling amongst the tiny deep ones. Oh, but it scares them. They don't know how to talk to it, that light. They don't know what to say. They only know that they are in love. But of course the sun does not really sink into the sea. Our whole great planet just turns away. Did I turn away from you? Is that what you read in my hesitation? Was it an act of war that broke that line, or was it me? My hands not telling what they should have done. Did you know? Did you ever know? You were there, and then one day not there, and never again after that. Lights on, lights off. He operates his telephone again, a little huddled now against the approaching dark, seeking comfort perhaps, hope of a safe harbour of his own once his work is done. Oh, it doesn't rain, no, it hails. Hard and crystalline, violent, tapping out reproaches on the rooftops and pavement, rattling the phone, the icy contact, possibly typing an unreadable message of its own. He covers the screen quickly, protecting it with great tenderness. Hail hammers onto his jacket. He looks shocked by the sudden ferocity, reaches for a hood that isn't there. Oh, I know the hailstones are falling cold down the back of his neck. He looks towards his bicycle, still a way off. Oh, I know he cannot finish what he wants to say. I find myself descending the attic stairs, moving swiftly through the house, to the ground floor, the hallway, the front door which I throw open into the battered street. The boy looks up, sudden light spilling out. I stand in it, beckoning to him. He runs towards me, ducking quickly into the shelter of the hallway. Well, once he is there, I simply do not know what to do with him. He's bigger than he seemed from the attic window. His jacket almost blinding in my porch. Such a gangly, awkward-looking fellow, simultaneously grateful and embarrassed at having been rescued by an old lady. tripping a little on the doormat as the sparkling hailstones melt and fall from him. I look at him and the telephone that he is cradling in his hands. I tell him, "Finish your message." He looks at me with a small, surprised and grateful smile, clearly not comprehending that someone as old as me could possibly understand what he's doing, either with his telephone or his heart. I leave him, standing in the doorway, and climb the stairs. "Close the door on your way out." I do not watch him. I give him privacy with his own key to another heart. Slowly I return to mine. The sun is barely a golden line of memory. The pattern of the hail troubles the surface of the deep ocean. It is sunset. Oh, the lights in this little town begin to turn on one by one. The street lights, harbour lights, and our famous winter display. Thousands of dancing bulbs arranged into familiar patterns by generous hands, flickering out Christmas in a code they understand: hope and family, memory, warmth and safety. This now our glowing harbour. I know he can see me from my doorway. I expect he will raise his telephone and capture it. Send that pure pulse of brightness, who knows how far, to whoever he loves. Standing in a stranger's doorway, safe, sheltered, alone and not alone. And here above him, high in an old window of this hunkered house, barely visible amongst the flashing Santas, racing snowmen, glowing robins, trees, puddings and stars, one more small bulb. On off, on off. This tiny light of me talking to you, out across the dark ocean, wherever and whoever you were and are. Good night. Merry Christmas. I do love you. It's coming on Christmas. They're cutting down trees, putting up reindeer, singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. But it don't snow here, you know it stays pretty green. Gonna make a lot of money, I'm gonna quit this crazy scene. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long I'd teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I made my baby cry. He tried hard to help me, you know he put me at ease. And he loved me so naughty, made me weak at the knees. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. But I'm so hard to handle, you know I'm selfish and I'm sad. Now I've gone and lost the best baby that I ever had. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long I'd teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I made my baby say goodbye. It's coming on Christmas. They're cutting down trees, putting up reindeer and singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. even smaller response from my studio audience, which is a bit worrying, isn't it? Small as they are, they've now actually dropped off to sleep, bless them. No, they were moved beyond the expression of appreciation. That's how I like to appreciate that.
Tears.
Yes, moved to tears beyond the form of the traditional clapping. Actually, one of them is not in a position to clap. I will explain why in a moment. I was going to say, the sharp-eyed amongst you may have noticed in that story the fawn. I do not live in a house full of toy fawns. That would make me mad. But one moment please. Oh, hello. I just moved the fawn around. The interesting point, when you tweet the thing that makes this feathery, owly, insecty thing happen, it just carries on. It'll just be on my head doing that until someone touches it again. So that's going to be interesting while I play uke, isn't it? What fun. World's smallest studio audience, aka my boyfriend, is now in a position where he can't applaud because I'm going to don the headwear next, and it's attached to a Raspberry Pi, which is a small keyboard just here, and that means that it has to stay quite close to my head, and so just lean this way, just lean in just a bit, in. There we go. He's got to be right there in order to hold the Raspberry Pi so that you can dick around with me. So I'm going to start this process now. I know some of you are on Twitter already because you've had things going off. I think mostly, honestly, my brother was the person prematurely setting off there. Look at that. Setting off the headgear. And we're now moving into the request section. So I've got my requests lined up. If you've got any more, stick them in the chat. We'll do our best. But I've got a couple already. One of them actually is from my brother. It is going to be a brilliant. Oh, we're a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. So I've got to now sort of dip down, try and play uke, and it's quite a moving first song. So that's going to be fun. So this is by Jackson Brown. It was me and my, just to really get you in the mood for making light with my headgear. This is my brother and I's song that makes us think of our mum. It was her favourite Christmas carol. She's dead. Do you know, join in any time by making this thing wiggle about. Okay, right. And I'll just use all the years of... Yes, there we go, look at that. Hey! All my years in the gym to squat this entire song for you and possibly this entire section. Darling, would you just give it a touch? Is that possible? I mean, you don't have to. Feel free to. There we go. Thank you so much. Okay, ready. All the streets are filled with laughter and light, and the music of the season, and the merchants' windows all are bright, with the faces of the children, and the families hurrying to their homes. As the sky darkens and freezes, we'll be gathering round our hearths and tables, giving thanks for God's graces and the birth of the rebel Jesus. Well, they call him by the Prince of Peace, they call him by the Saviour, and they pray to him upon the seas in every bold endeavour, and they fill his churches with their pride and gold, and their faith in him increases. But they've turned the nature that I worshipped in from a temple to a robber's den. It's not distracting at all. In the words of the rebel Jesus. Well, we guard our world with locks and guns, we guard our fine possessions, and once a year when Christmas comes, we give to our relations, and perhaps we give a little to the poor, if the generosity should seize us. But if any one of us should interfere in the reason of why they're poor, they get the same as the rebel Jews. how Jackson Browne envisaged the song being done, to be honest. But pardon me if I have seemed to take a tone of judgment, for I've no wish to come between this day and your enjoyment. In a life of hardship and of earthly toll, there is need for anything that frees us. So I bid you pleasure and I bid you cheer, from a heathen and a pagan, on the side of the rebel Jesus. Do you mind awfully? Just give me a little one of those, just as long as I set it off again. More than that. But 21 years we've been together, you'd think I'd have the touch, wouldn't you? Here we go, right, thank you. Woo! Well, that was interesting, and I've been doing it in a little squat. Going to be feeling those calves tomorrow. Okay, we're going to do a request from Sheila now. We're going to do Stop the Cavalry, and I want you to hear through the internet the dubba dubba dum dums, please, everybody. This is a dedication not just to Sheila, but also to all the amazing Greenham women that are out there who we've worked with this year, and who some of you are watching tonight, I know. So this is a bit of an anti-war Christmas for you. Here you go. Hey, Mr. Churchill comes over here to say we're doing splendidly, but it's very cold out here in the snow, marching to and from the enemy. Oh, I say it's tough, I have had enough, can you stop the cavalry? I have had to fight almost every night down throughout these centuries. That is why I say, oh yes, yet again, can you stop the cavalry? Mary Bradley waits at home in the nuclear fallout zone. Wish I could be dancing now in the arms of the girl I love. Ready? Dubba dubba dum dum, dubba dubba dum, dubba dum dum, dubba dum dubba dubba dum, dubba dubba dum dum, dubba dubba dum, dubba dum dum, dubba dum dubba dubba dum. Wish I was at home for Christmas. Bang goes another bomb on another town while the Tsar and Jim have tea. If I get home, live to tell the tale, I'll run for all the presidencies. If I get elected, I will stop the cavalry. Ready? Dubba dubba dum dum, dubba dubba dum, dubba dum dum, dubba dum dubba dubba dum, dubba dubba dum dum, dubba dubba dum, dubba dum dum, dubba dum dubba dubba dum. Wish I was at home for Christmas. Oh, Mary Bradley waits at home. She's been waiting 2 years long. Wish I was at home for Christmas. Very much. Oh, can we have the back door open, shall we? Absolutely picking boiling now. Doing these in mid squat. And trying to work out what's happening on top of my head as well. It's warm work, people. Okay. I did 1 foot forward and then the other foot forward. So for this one, I might go wide. I might go like the actors in Blackadder. So right, okay. Oh no, a bit further. That better. There we go. Okay, so I'm wearing this so that you guys on Twitter can make it move around. So feel free to keep doing so. Let's see if we can get it to move a lot for this next one. Because the next performer, when she does this song, this is a request from Matt, by the way. There's a lot of stuff, things like that going on. There's a lot of action. I'd like to see that reflected in the headdress, if possible. Woo. Hold on a sec. I won't ask for much this Christmas. I won't even. I'm being a bit. Oh, that's good. Yes, well done. That's going to get the others going. What I'm aware is I've actually kind of cut the page in half. So you're going to get half the song you like, Matt. I'm sorry. Okay. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. I'm aware that Adrian's, holding his hand up. The little creature's going. It's a lot. So. Oh no, hang on. Because are you moving halfway through the lyrics?
Yeah.
Bless you. I could look for them, but never mind, you've done it now. Brilliant, okay. I won't ask for much this Christmas. I don't even wish for snow. I'm just gonna keep on waiting underneath the mistletoe. I won't make a list and send it to the North Pole for St. Nick. I won't even stay awake to hear those magic reindeer click. 'Cause I just want you here tonight, holding on to me so tight. What more can I do? All I want for Christmas is you. All the lights are shining so brightly everywhere, and the sound of children's laughter fills the air. Everyone is singing, I can hear the sleigh bells ringing. Santa, bring me the one I need. Won't you bring my baby to me? Oh, I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one asking for. I just want to see my baby standing right outside my door. Oh, I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you. All I want for Christmas is that if Mariah Carey ever sings that, she has to wear this. I think, and be standing as I currently am, which is a good low squat. I think it would revive her flagging career, as I'm sure it has mine. Right, okay, off with this. Ooh, I'm sorry if I didn't get to pay your request. If we've got time at the end, I'll do it as a sort of encore. I'm sure we'll have enough on it. Anyway, keep putting them in. We'll see what we can do. I might be able to record a few afterwards and put them up on our YouTube channel. Woo! Thank you so much for that strange experience. I am going to hand over to another story now, which I'm excited about. This was a wonderful piece of writing by the fantastic Anna-Maria Murphy, who wrote this for us for our walks that we used to do at Christmas time in Mousehole. I think I've got, I don't know, what do you call that? It's not, is it hat, hair, helmet hair, headdress hair? I've got foolishness hair, that's what I've got. A festive fool hair. So it's a wonderful story, and it was a favourite in those walks, and we're really proud to be able to share it with you tonight. Me and Shaz recorded it a couple of days ago. Please sit back, enjoy, top up your wassail or your eggnog or whatever you're having, and enjoy Lights On, Lights Off by Anna-Maria Murphy. Thank you very much. Lights Off by Anna-Maria Murphy. Phyllis Pender was suspicious of electricity. She had a light bulb, but it wasn't switched on. She kept it on the mantelpiece in pride of place.
Oh, whatever are you going to do with that there light bulb if you're not going to use it, Phyllis?
Inquired Pomeroy Harvey.
I have it for show, Pomeroy, in case anyone calls.
As she grew older, Phyllis Pender had gradually seen the whole village light up. And when people first got electricity, such was the novelty, they had the lights on in every room. You could hear the click-click of switches, on, off, all through the first week when Mousehole first got connected. It drove Miss Pender mad. No, she would definitely never have electricity, never. Besides, she loved the golden glow of candlelight and the smeechy smell of the paraffin lamp, and she knew every inch of her old cottage. Been in her family generations, every creak of the stairs was like an old friend. She didn't need electricity to find her way around her house, nor the winding, curling back streets of the village.
They bloody street lights give away our secrets,
she would say. It was hard to see the stars sometimes, so much light was there. Mind you, not so many windows illuminated these days, villages half empty. And that was another thing about light bulbs. They shed a harsh light upon you. When Phyllis looked in her mirror by her oil lamp, she fancied she was still that soft young girl, her hair as amber as the wet ribbons of seaweed the ocean sometimes threw on her doorstep. Phyllis combed out her hair, a drift of white sea foam as light as candle smoke. In the mirror she saw Herself, of course, but not Phyllis 88. At least she thought she was 88. But she'd stopped counting. What she saw was herself 17. She felt her heart beating too loudly.
Phyllis, get down here this minute. Harold's here.
Oh, Harold. Her heart sank. He would be waiting in the parlour. His jacket, the one he always wore for courting her, done up tight, too small for him, the buttons straining. He'd be standing by the range with his cap in his hands, nervous as a jellyfish, talking to father about the weather.
Oh, is that coming in thick, Mr. Pender? Yes, Harold, you're right. I couldn't see the bow from the stern last Thursday. It was that thick. I know, Mr. Pender. I said to father, oh, Mr. Pender won't be able to see the bow from the stern if he's taking the lugger out on Thursday. Well, you're right, Harold, my boy. I couldn't. Were you taking Phyllis tonight then, Harold? Oh, just up the Gurnock, Mr. Pender.
Up the Gurnock, thought Phyllis. That's always where we bleddy go. She could only swear in her head, this being a strictly Methodist household. They'd meet Eliza Harvey, who was walking out with Daniel Travail, smug as a French fancy she was. Then probably they'd meet the Bowes sisters, who'd be eyeing up the Drew brothers, and it would go something like this.
All right there, Phyllis. All right there, Harold.
All right, Liza. All right, Daniel. All right, Joan. All right, Lily. Oh, yes, thank you, Phyllis. You all right?
Yes, thank you. Lovely night.
Also coming in thick, apparently.
Really, Harold?
Yes, father said that Mr. Pender couldn't see the bow from the stern on Thursday.
Christ almighty. Why the owl couldn't Harold take her to the dance in Penzance? Or even Newlyn would do up the church hall. Anywhere but the bloody Gurnock. Mind you, he couldn't dance either. Octopus had more rhythm.
Phyllis, where are you to? Harold's waiting to walk you up the Gurnock.
Dear Harold. He would probably try and kiss her again, and frankly he kissed like a wet fish. Phyllis knew she was expected to marry him, and he was a kind, hard-working man, but she didn't love him, could never love him. Phyllis had aspirations. Aspirations of going as far as Plymouth. Training to be a nurse, maybe. At the moment, she worked as a Shipham's fish paste factory girl in Newlyn, but that was only temporary. Her hands were constantly red raw from the salty fish, and the smell took an old bar of coal tar soap a week to wash it out.
Harold taking you out Friday, Phyllis?
Expect so.
Dancing?
No, taking me up the Gurnock.
Lovely.
She could hear them sniggering. She would miss the girls, though, when she went up to Plymouth. Plymouth. She'd only been there once, to the Christmas grotto in Dingle's department store. She'd been 7 years old and she'd never forgotten it. A palace of tinsel and glitter, boxes wrapped in red paper with gold ribbons, and Father Christmas's red sack, which seemed as deep as Givor mine. Oh, she'd been speechless the entire time she sat on his knee, except when he'd asked her what she wanted for Christmas.
To live up Plymouth in Dingles.
When the men came from the boats to unload the fish for the paste, Phyllis never looked up. She was embarrassed. The Shipham's girls looked like strange anemones with their white hats, not an attractive look. Not a strand of hair could escape. Though it didn't stop romance over the still squirming mass of crab, lobster and pilchard. Fishermen didn't mind the smell of a Shipham's girl. To them it was the perfume of the sea, and anyhow, they smelt of it too. Harold was a butcher, and sometimes he had the faint aroma of sausages. Poor Harold. One day, a day Phyllis would never forget, something did make young Phyllis look up. It was a voice. Not the voice of a local man, the hilly rise and fall of their dialect. The voice was rounder, wider, a voice used to rising above the storms of the North Sea. It belonged to a Lowestoft trawler man, bringing in his box of crabs. And Lowestoft men are not beloved to Cornish men, as they had once landed fish on a Sunday and had never been forgiven. But this voice caught her heart and made Phyllis cut her hand with her skinning knife. The blood dripped onto the white flesh of the fish.
Here you go, gal,
he said, and he bandaged her hand with his necktie. Blue it was, that necktie.
Billy Aycock.
He said, shaking her hand.
I'm lodged in Mosul at Janie Barden's house. I seen you in the village.
Phyllis couldn't speak, and nor could I. She could see Janie Boden's from her bedroom window, but she never noticed this man before, though being a Lowestoft man, he probably kept himself to himself. All that week, Phyllis took the longer route home, back to the cottage, the route that went past Janie Boden's house. The candle flickered and spluttered in old Phyllis's bedroom, her young self fading into the mirror. Oh, she remembered, giddy as a goat she'd been, when Billy Haycock finally kissed her. Oh, he didn't taste of sausage or fish paste. What was it? Oh, she couldn't quite recall. Salt? Rope? Oh, after that first kiss, her heart turned frantic. It beat against the doors of the cottage, the factory, the village, trying to get out. She had to be with him every night she could. Her very life depended on it, and so it seemed at his. They could see each other's windows across the way, so they would signal to each other, passing their hands in front of their lamps. On-off twice meant it was safe to meet. On-off 3 times meant the path was not clear. That had all been 61 years ago. She never married Harold. He courted a Beau's sister who, after 5 years of walking her up the Gurnock, he finally wed. Billy Haycock had disappeared one night. Run out of town, or worse, she reckoned, for being a Lowestoft man. She cried till her eyes changed colour, and then she never cried again. Old Phyllis puts down her hairbrush. Strands of white hair fall to the floor. She may never have married, but oh, how she loved. She takes out an old piece of cloth from a drawer, a blue necktie. She smells it, puts it carefully away.
Hell, they buggers are about to switch on the damn Christmas light. Pretty, I suppose, but far too much electricity for me.
She's just about to close her curtains to block out that light when she sees something from the window of the old Boden place. Someone is passing their hand in front of a lamp. On, off, on, off. She signals back and runs down from her bedroom and out onto the street in her nightdress. "Billy!" she cries. Wow. There you go. And also, that was quite a lot of cleavage, wasn't it? You know, Merry Christmas and you're welcome, I suppose, since there's something I can do about it now. It's time to chat and commit about the Sparkly Selfies. I'm excited about this because I have my side of my face. I don't know what it is. It's like let's say stained glass, Christmassy, I don't know. Anyway, there you go. I did this for you. We also have had a few people, obviously saw Jackie got very involved with the glitter. We've also had a couple of pictures tonight, which are really fantastic. I'm really chuffed with them. We have this from David. I mean, that is sparkly. There's no denying that. You can see, and the tech that's gone into that, I very much appreciate it. So there is a sparkly selfie. We also have this from the lovely Rosie, which she's sporting one of my absolute favourites. I have 2 different pieces of garment by that same. It's Rosa Bloom. It's amazing. But anyway, yes. So I'm definitely counting that as sparkly selfie. Fantastic. I don't really want to pick a winner because I loved all of that, and I loved all the people that talked to us in the week about it and stuff. So I'm going to say what the prize is a piece of performance from a very festive special guest who I shall welcome now, and I think I'm going to ask them to dedicate their performance to all of the people who sent in those lovely selfies and people that chatted about them in the week, and to all of you, of course. Please would you welcome, I'll call her in now, I can hear her, Mother Christmas! Mother Christmas, come on in! Yeah, that's the sleigh landing. I hope you could hear that. Oh, my little dog has gone to check. No, hello, Mother Christmas. I'll clear the stage. I'd like to your lovely performance, if you don't mind, dedicated to the wonderful selfies we've had tonight and all the people who've come to watch. Is that all right?
Well done, everyone, for your sparkly selfies. Wonderful. I'd like to sing you a little song. Now, it's based loosely on the 12 days of Christmas. I normally get lost after about 5 gold rings, so I thought I would replace all the lyrics with Christmas foodstuffs. So if you want to join in, please do. You won't know the words, but give it your best go. Here we go. You ready?
So ready.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love said to me, there's a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the second day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the third day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 4 sausage rolls, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 5 Christmas puds, 4 veggie sausage rolls, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the 6th day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 6 tubes of Pringles, 5 Christmas puds, 4 Linda McCartney veggie sausage rolls, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the 7th day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 7 tins of biscuits, 6 tubes of Pringles, 5 Christmas puds, 4 hot Linda McCartney veggie sausage rolls, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 8 pickled onions, 7 tins of biscuits, 6 tubes of Pringles, 5 Christmas puds, 4 hot Linda McCartney veggie sausage rolls with a dab of mustard, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the 9th day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 9 balls of stuffing, 8 pickled onions, 7 tins of biscuits, 6 tubes of Pringles, 5 Christmas puds, 4 hot Linda McCartney veggie sausage rolls with a dab of mustard and a bit of pickle, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 10 tofurkey sandwiches, 9 balls of stuffing, 8 pickled onions, 7 tins of biscuits, 6 tubes of Pringles, 5 Christmas puds, 4 hot Linda McCartney veggie sausage rolls with a dab of mustard, a little bit of pickle and a slice of beetroot, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 10 tubs of chocolate, 10 tofurkey sandwiches, 9 balls of stuffing, 8 pickled onions, 7 tins of biscuits, 6 tubes of Pringles, 5 Christmas puds, 4 hot Linda McCartney veggie sausage rolls with a dab of mustard, a bit of pickle, a slice of beetroot and maybe a couple of olives, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas. One more. Sing along. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 12 Christmas dinners, 11 tubs of chocolate, 10 tofurkey sandwiches, 9 balls of stuffing, 8 pickled onions, 7 tins of biscuits, 6 tubes of Pringles, 5 Christmas puds, 4 hot Linda McCartney veggie sausage rolls with a dab of mustard, a bit of pickle, a slice of beetroot, maybe a couple of olives and a large glass of mulled wine, 3 Yule logs, 2 mince pies and a Brussels sprout in my peas.
Mother Christmas, everybody! Woo! And if that hasn't filled your stockings, I don't know what will. So, to keep that slightly anarchic cabaret vibe going, I'm now going to let us show you the fantastic bit of footage we've had sent in by our last special guest for the evening, our last remote special guest. We've got a fantastic guest appearance by Ada Camp, magician's assistant, wonder of the modern world, please, studio audience, let us give a big round of applause as we introduce ourselves and our audience to the wonderful magic of Ada Camp.
Well, hello, my friends, it's Ada Camp here. How utterly delightful to be part of this salon. I hope you're having tremendous fun. I'm having tremendous fun just thinking about you having tremendous fun. It's a sort of fun go round in a festive period sort of way. Well, this is very exciting. Becca and I have been used to doing Christmas festive shows around the shires. Many years ago, we used to sit in a van and drive to some remote place and then amuse the people in that place and then drive off merrily. But now, of course, you must all stay put. So I'm going to amuse you, hopefully, remotely, my friends. Now, I've got a very, very special Christmas trick for you, all right? But it's interactive. I'm going to train you up, all right? We can't just do it straight off because I've not met you. We're going to have to train you up first. First of all, we're going to have to appear a very, very dear friend of mine who hasn't got the exposure in 2020 than they deserve. All right, okay, here we go. Now, pay very close attention to the screen. Have any of you ever seen a duck before? Have you? Have you? How wonderful. Extraordinary. All right, well, listen, picture that duck. All right, picture it. It could be the first duck you saw. It could be the duck you haven't so most recently seen, all right? And if you're worrying about that, don't worry. All right, I have rather sprung this on you, all right? If in doubt, just picture a duck, okay? Mallard is fine. All right, it's an obvious choice, but it's been a stressful year, and there's a lot going on. I'm happy with mallard. Go for that. If you want to be more exotic, my friends, I could suggest Muscovy. Toilet, if you must. All right. Now picture a duck. Have you got one? Very good. Now raise one hand in front of your face, please, as if you're going to blow me a kiss. You can blow me a kiss. Obviously, that would be wonderful. We're very socially distanced. Here we go. All right. Lovely. Very nice. Now, in a moment, I'm going to count to 12, because I can. When I get to 12, you are going to think of a duck and then whisper the word duck into your hand. Stand by. 1, 3, 4.5, 6.27, 7, 8-ish, nearly 9, 10, 11, 12. Very good. Now, keep your hands flat, please. Some whispered ducks are more fluid than others. Now, in another moment, I'm going to say the word quack, because I can. When I say the word quack, my friends, you are going to set your imaginations to stun. You are going to throw your whispered ducks underarm, please, health and safety, underarm at the screen you're looking at now. Here we go, through the screen to me. You'll have to do a lovely long arc and a follow through, but I believe in you utterly. Here we go, stand by. Quack! Throw them! Oh my gosh, I'm catching them, I've got them here. Oh my gosh. Very good. How wonderful. Now, it might be hard for you to see, it's hard for an untrained eye, but all your whispered ducks are swirling together in this magnificent silver dish, my friends, learning each other. I'm just going to encourage them with this warm spoon. Here we go. You marvellous people of the Salon. Your whispered ducks are longing to solidify. Yes! To form a 3D object. Yes! Can it be done? Yes! I agree with you. Now, Drum roll, please, in whatever way you do that. Drum roll, right? Just hit yourselves. Not hit yourselves. Pat something. Do something vigorous. Drum roll, please. Drum roll. Here we go. Come on. Louder. I can't quite hear you. Faster, come on. Syncopated. Look at that, my friends. The psychic duck has appeared. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. Well done, well done. Here we are, Ducky. Very good. Ah, Ducky. Look at them all. Say hello. Ha ha ha! How wonderful. Now, Ducky, do you have a Christmas message for the people of the Salon? Great. What is it? Speak it now. How wonderful. I hope that comes true for all of you. Now, I think you have done that successfully. You have appeared the duck. So I can rely on you now to appear the special Christmas-themed trick. Now, you remember what we did with the duck? You do, don't you? Very good. All right. So this time, I'm going to put the duck down. I want you to think of some figgy pudding. Think of it. Think of it. Entertain a vision, if you will, of figgy pudding. If you've never seen a figgy pudding, and I imagine more people have seen a duck than a figgy pudding, just enjoy the words. Figgy pudding. It's a syllable fest. Figgy pudding. What pleasure, all right? Figgy pudding, figgy pudding. Very good. Now, this time, I want you to raise one hand as if you're going to blow me a kiss. Obviously, you can blow me a kiss. That would be marvellous. It's absolutely fine. So we did all that. All right. This time, I want you to say the word figgy pudding into your hand in any sort of way you like. Here we go. I'm not even going to count to 12. You can do this now. You don't need babysitting through this. Here we go. Figgy pudding, figgy pudding, figgy pudding. 3 times. I forgot to say that. Say it 3 times. Say it again. Sorry. Here we go. 6. Why not? Here we are. Figgy pudding, figgy pudding, figgy pudding. Very good. Keep your hands flat, please. Some imaginary spoken figgy puddings are more fluid than others. Now, this time you did it so beautifully before. I believe in you utterly. You can do it again. You are going to throw those figgy puddings at the screen. You're going to do it any moment. Now, throw them at the screen. Throw them at the screen. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Look at that. I managed to catch them in my silvery tray again. Now, I know it sounds like utter madness, but your whispered, or even spoken, figgy puddings are swirling around in this. I'm just going to encourage them with a second warm spoon. Wonderful. I tell you what, your figgy puddings, my friends, are longing to solidify, yes, and form a 3D object, yes. Can it be done? Yes. Drum roll, my friends, drum roll. If you didn't go for it before, go for it now. This is the final chance. Drum roll for a figgy pudding. Louder, faster, figgier. Ooh. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? You have appeared a figgy pudding. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. Ha ha ha. Wonderful stuff. Now, my friends, we're going to end with something very exciting indeed. Now, variety artists have had to diversify rather during this whole year, to be honest with you, and I've taken up a long-held ambition of mine, ventriloquism. And I happen to have found a very friendly velociraptor friend with whom to ventriloquize. So, as it's a special occasion, I'm going to do a little bit of velociraptor ventriloquism, and we're going to sing you a Christmas song with a guest artiste, a T-Rex. How wonderful, all right? Now, all right, just get the velociraptor in. Come on, darling. Come on, darling. Very good, yes. Hello. Look at them. Hello. All right, now you need to look directly at the camera, darling. All right? Lovely. Or you start, velociraptor, okay? You start, darling. Here we go. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. Very good, darling, beautiful. T-Rex, guest artiste, the T-Rex, come on. Wonderful. Look at the camera, T-Rex. Here we go. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la. Thank you, wonderful work. I'll do the middle bit. Don we now our gay apparel. Fa la 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 la. All right, big finish. Everyone look at the camera. Here we go. Draw the ancient Yuletide carol. Fa la 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 la. Have a good one, my friends. Take care. Love to you all. Enjoy the rest of the salon. I've made a camp. Toodle pip.
Well, I think we can safely say you weren't expecting that, were you? And look, it's Shaz. Where have you been all evening, Shaz? We've had all sorts of people. We've had Mother Christmas.
No.
Yeah, she was here, wasn't she?
I always miss her.
I know. You never see them. It's so strange. You get on so well as well. But no, what we'll do is, now you are here, we will now read you the last story of the evening. Just a very quick whiz through something uber Cornish. And it's one of our absolute favourites. It's by Pauline Shepherd, and we just couldn't resist doing it. We'll do that. Then we're going to sing you the Hyrrs Not Hymns, which will take us towards that by the end of the night. That's actually a lot. So yeah. Okay, let's get this last story alive to you with both Shaz and I performing. It's called Garfield Jackson's Mermaid.
Ben Thomas always had this flat stone outside his cottage, set in the edge it was,
Just wide enough for the cheeks of your arse.
he'd say. Mr. Itchin from the council used to sit there when he collected rent, but that was until he got too fat. And then Miss Trathen, our school teacher, tight arse Trathen we used to call her, she always used to sit there when she went for a walk. And Constable Traher, he always used to rest his foot on it when he leaned on his handlebars of his bike to have a fag. Now, Ben would always be there, of course, with a story to tell about the time he split 4 ton of blue elven with a £3 lamp hammer.
Could have hit it with a toffee hammer if you knew where.
He'd say. And there wasn't nothing Ben didn't know about stone, especially granite. Cut by hand too, didn't have no diamond tip drills in they days, just feather and gads. He didn't only cut granite, he carved it too. Beautiful bosses, fleur-de-lis, cat, dog, anything you wanted. Well, that's how all this come to happen. Ben was coming back from the pub with Garfield Jackson, and they had a few, as usual, and they stopped at the gateway to the dry field to philosophise and relieve themselves of 10 pints of bitter beer.
Ben,
Says Garfield, sucking the air between his teeth like he'd do.
carve me a mermaid in this here gatepost, can he?
Well, it took Ben a week to carve Garfield Jackson's mermaid. 8 foot high, hair flying, breasts like balloons. Now, we kids, we were having a geek when we saw Pastor Warren's old black felt hat floating across the top of the edge, singing, "Oh, a true fallacy, let him come hither." Shh, says Jimmy Nick.
Don't let him see us.
Now, round the corner goes the pastor, opening his voice up into the dry field gate. "No goblin, no foul fiend!" And he put his brakes on so hard, I don't know how he didn't go head first over the handlebars. Back along he come now, on foot. And he saw Garfield Jackson's mermaid in all her naked splendour. Sunday now, he was proclaiming from that pulpit, My eyes did behold an aberration. And he looked right down at Ben Thomas. "Ben Thomas, this aberration must be removed from the innocent eyes of childhood." Well, of course, we'd all seen her by then. Jimmy Nick charged 80 to all the kids from Caharrock. I'd never seen Betty Davis's cheeks so red. Ben knew he'd have to do it though, so he took out his lump hammer and a couple of points, laid them on the ground like he was going to do an operation. Then him and Garfield had a drink, and we kids, well, were watching from over the next edge.
Got tits like tight-ass Trevin.
Ben took up his hammer. He knew where it hit. It was only a bit of old downstone, see, not like Penryn granite. Crack! Split her clean down the middle. Then he cut off her head and quartered her. The aberration was gone, and he and Garfield shoved all the pieces back in the edge. Seemed to knock all the sunlight out of the day, especially as we'd promised Full Force Matthews and Shag Murley that they could see her, and we got their money up front. And it was Pastor Warren's own son, Boy Harold Warren, he had the idea.
Let's take her up Fuller Wood, put her back together.
Well, we come back now at dusk with a wheelbarrow. Full Force and Shag, they helped. Well, this way, they got to see her up in close quarters, so to speak. And we carried all the bits up to Fuller's Wood, one at a time, and we laid her out. We never found her left tit, though. Shag went over every inch of that edge till it was too dark to see. And as Jimmy Nick said, if Shag Murley couldn't find a tit, no one could. Garfield Jackson's mermaid, Ben Thomas's proudest creation that was. Well, last year, the council widened the road outside of Ben's cottage. Well, Ben in there no more. He's been dead about 8 years now. There in spirit mind. Well, they turned over that old stone seat. The one that Tight Arse Treathen used to sit on and Constable Trehair used to have his fag. And that's when they found Garfield Jackson's mermaid's missing left tit.
Thank you, Shaz. Yes. Right. You may stay with me and we can sing the next songs together, or you can go right round the house and out through, because it's impossible to get directly through, isn't it? Because of all the gubbins we've got up.
All the gubbins.
All the lights and the sound and the bits and pieces. I'll let you choose.
No, it's Christmas. I'll stay.
Fantastic. Do you want to hand us a song sheet for Shaz? Well, you probably one here, can't you, actually?
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, if you go right with this, I like that. Giving you boys jobs, I just enjoy it.
I'll give you room.
Oh, thanks. We've got you left in. Yeah. Right, so we're going to go on to the Hymns Not Hyrrs. This is a brilliant project that I found a few years ago and we've been using ever since. There's a whole songbook of songs by, I don't know who has done it, but they're brilliant, and they sort of replace the words of traditional carols with with other words which are very fun. Now we're going to have to bunch this way because the lyrics are going to come up. So would you put up the lyrics for Good Queen Wenceslas, please, Matt? And then we'll work out where to stand around them.
Yes.
We won't have to squat because I'm not wearing the headgear.
Oh, well done.
But we will have to nestle. So there you go. So this is Good Queen Wenceslas put out. I encourage you, thank you, to sing along at home. I think you might have to go.
I think that's
That
much
way, I'm
better.
sorry. You might have
And I
to
can see the words then.
Yes, perfect. Okay, good. Right, so, ladies and gentlemen, if you could, to the tune of Good King Wenceslas, I give you, and I hope you're joining in, Good Queen Wenceslas. Good Queen Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen. Then she thought, now hang about, why's this feast called Stephen? Surely there were other saints they could name it after. Lucy, Laura, Abigail, Mary for that matter. Studio audience, I'm assuming you're singing along with this as well, by the way. Then she thought, oh, by the way, who will do the cooking? Muggins, here I hear you say, on your bike keep looking. A woman's place should not be stuck inside the kitchen. Frankly, it's a fallacy, misogynistic fiction. I'm a queen and queening means work 24/7. Finding time for cooking seems anything but heaven. It is not always feminist to throw out the apron, but there's choice and I choose this of emancipation. Fact is, ovaries do not tie you to the oven. Like Queen Wenceslas, you've got governments to govern. Don't feel bad, you'll never be dear or Nigella. Roasting, say, patriotic, keep it salmonella. say patriarch? It's a shame. We'll get that right for next year. So as Christmas rolls around, we sing our conclusion to festive the festive face. We found out inclusion. Don't leave mum to cook it all, and then set the table. Share the work and alcohol if you're fit and able. I haven't had any alcohol yet, I promise. I thought I might have done for a few of those bit of tricksy bits. Never mind. Right, okay, lovely. Yes, except I've got one there, thank you. I just snuck myself an extra sheet. Okay, one more of the Hyrrs Not Hymns, and I really encourage you to look. Yes, it's in my head to look these up online. They are so good. These two are my favourite. This is my absolute favourite. We're going to do now to the tune of "Deck the Halls." I want you to sing "Kick the Balls" of Patriarchy. Here we go. I'll just wait for the words to come up on the screen, which I believe they are. Yes, good. So, to the tune of "Deck the Halls," people. Are you ready? Kick the balls of patriarchy, fa la 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 la. We're all sick of this malarkey, fa la 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 la. Old white men hog all the power, fa la 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 la. Let's bring down their phallic tower, fa la 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 la. Scrutinise the institution, fa la 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 la. Discourse leads to revolution, fa la 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 la. And if talk won't change perception, fa la 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 la. Flamey pitchforks are effective, fa la 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 la. Patriarchy's days are numbered, fa la 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 la. We're all better unencumbered, fa la 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 la. Let's make room for female voices, fa la 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 la. Shut up, John, we can't hear Joyce's, fa la 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 la. Thank you very much. Right, that's brought us kind of neatly, or something. It's brought us to the end of the night. And there goes Shaz, she's been wonderful. Should we do a little, I'm going to pretend you're here, and you're bolstering the sound of my small, tiny one-man studio audience, and I'm going to say a big thank you to Shaz, to all our special guests, Ada and Jackie, and the people who sent in selfies, and the people who tweeted while I did some stuff in my head, you did stuff in my head, and to Matt and Adrian, the world's smallest one-man headgear holder, and to the audience. Thank you so much, and all of you, thank you so much. You've been absolutely lovely, and all the people that produce and social media magic these shows as well, and all this year. Thank you so much. And all our writers as well who wrote the Rating Stories tonight. Al, who made the headgear. Basically, it's been amazing to work with you all. Would have been a very, very different year without you. And that includes all the people that watch and support the salons. I'm so grateful. I'm going to dedicate this last song to all of you. It feels, I sort of heard we were decorating the Christmas tree, and it came on as kind of a loop of kind of ultimate playlist songs for Christmas that my brother is quite strict about, that we listen to every year, and you can't skip them and things, which worked out well for me this time because I love this song, and Judy and my dad perhaps wouldn't have played it, I think, had he had a veto, which he doesn't have. So it made me realise these lyrics are obviously completely pertinent for this Christmas particularly, so I wanted to sing it to you before we left. Have yourselves a merry little Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on our troubles will be miles away. Once again, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore, faithful friends who are dear to us gather near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, fates allow, hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us will be near to us once more. Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Good night. Merry Christmas. I do love you.